This question says determine the new coordinates of the point 7, 0 after a rotation of 235 degrees about 0, 0. The first thing to remember is that we always start any angles at the positive x-axis and we go in a counterclockwise direction around. So 235 is between 180 and 270, and we can draw it in that quadrant like shown. So what we're doing is we're taking a line that started at the positive x-axis and it had an endpoint of 7, 0, which means that length of the line is 7, and we're turning it all the way around into this quadrant down in the bottom left. That's going to have the same length of the line, of that terminal arm we call that, and so that's still going to be 7. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out the coordinates of that point at the end. Well, notice that this forms a right triangle and we have an x and a y coordinate. Now they're both going to be negative here because the x value is negative and it's also below the x-axis, so the y value is negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this angle here the related acute angle. And this forms a right triangle down there in the bottom left quadrant. And so in order to find what beta is first, I'm going to take the 235 degrees and I'm going to subtract 180, and I get an angle of 55 degrees. And so now what I have to do is I have to go ahead and think about what this is in terms of a right triangle. And I'm just going to take the right triangle that we have and just bring it over by itself so we can focus in on that right triangle. So that we know the angle is 55 there, and we know that the length of the hypotenuse is 7. Now, sine of that angle, the related acute angle beta, is going to be equal to the opposite side, the y coordinate, and we're going to focus in on the magnitude of the y, so just the value. We're going to not worry about the negative part right now, divided by the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is r. So we rearrange this by multiplying both sides by r, and we can sub those numbers in. We have 7 as the r value and 55 is the beta value. And so that tells me that the length of y, the magnitude of y, is 5.73. So if we go back over to our picture on the left, we know that's a negative value, so it's negative 5.73. Again, now focusing on that triangle that we have in black there, we take the cosine of that related acute angle, and that's the adjacent, which is the length of x divided by the hypotenuse, which is r. So we rearrange that for the length x. We sub the numbers in, 7 times cosine of 55, just like we did previously, and we get the length of x to be a length of 4.02. So now we go back to the diagram on the left, and we recognize that that x value is not just 4.02, it's negative that, and so we label that, and we can now list our point. The point is the x value followed by the y value, so it's negative 4.02, comma, negative 5.73. And that's all there is to it. For more on how to go about with SOH CAH TOA, you can check out the video on the left. For a playlist about sinusoidal functions and things related to that unit, you can check out the playlist on the right. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.